Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special edition of Hollywood's Hot Topics. I am Hollywood Joe from Hollywood's World of Sports. As we saw AEW Dynamite go off the air on Wednesday night, Kenny Omega is the new AEW World Heavyweight Champion. And he was helped by none other than his longtime friend and mentor, Don Callis. Now, this is important because as Omega and Callis were leaving the building, everybody wanted an explanation. And Don Callis said, you'll find out this Tuesday on Impact Wrestling, which leads me to believe that All Elite Wrestling and Impact Wrestling are now in a relationship together. Now, I have been saying from the beginning that AEW needs to form working relationships with Impact Wrestling, the NWA, Ring of Honor, and even a organization like Major League Wrestling. No disrespect to any of those promotions, but they do not have the money and the resources that AEW has to feature talent on a weekly basis at the national level. I understand that Impact, NWA, MLW, and ROH have their hardcore fans and their loyal followers. I get that. And that there's nothing wrong with that. But I have said from the beginning that if you really want to make a mark and compete with WWE, and I'm not saying NXT, because NXT, I think, is separate from Raw and SmackDown in terms of product and presentation. But if you really want to take a stab at WWE, you have to come together. Obviously, Impact was smart enough to put egos aside and realize that AEW has the resources and money and national TV exposure that they don't. And it appears that they have formed an alliance of some sorts and maybe are in a working relationship. That's the only real explanation I can think of as to why Kenny Omega will be appearing on Impact Wrestling on Tuesday. I have said it also multiple times that there are so many talents on each of these promotions that deserve national television time. I'll go through the list. Impact Wrestling, I think guys like Eric Young, Sammy Callahan, Ken Shamrock, who can still go, deserves some time again to shine on the national spotlight. Gals and Anderson, would love to see them in a few AEW appearances. The Motor City Machine Guns, the North. Okay, these are people that deserve national TV time. Oh, my favorite wrestler in Impact Wrestling, Rohit Raju, been doing some awesome things with the X Division Championship. He deserves some national TV time. Look at Ring of Honor. Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, Jay Lethal, the Briscoes. Those are the names that come to mind that deserve national TV time. NWA, obviously Nick Aldis is the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. He deserves national TV time. I even look to Major League Wrestling and Jacob Fatu, Tom Lawler, Low Key, so many guys throughout these multiple promotions that deserve national TV time. I could probably go on with about 100 more guys from these promotions that, would be great on TNT, but those are the guys that really stand out for me. Most people don't know that Impact Wrestling is owned by Anthem Entertainment, And Anthem does have a lot of money and a lot of resources. The one thing that they do not have is a national, I mean, it is a national TV deal if your cable provider has Access TV, but Access TV is not featured on every provider out there. Um, so unfortunately, Impact has had to resort to Twitch, MLW, NWA. They use YouTube for their shows. You got Ring of Honor, who's owned by Sinclair Broadcasting, but Ring of Honor only airs in certain, markets that are local CBS stations. So it's not a national television deal. And so I have been saying this from the get-go that Ring of Honor, Impact, MLW, NWA, they all need to put their egos aside. And they need to realize that forming a super alliance, kind of like the territory days when, AWA did their super clashes with like WCCW or Memphis Wrestling or, things of that nature. Forming an alliance to enhance all of your resources and your talent is good for the wrestling industry. I'm not saying they all need to be owned by the same person. Like how Vince bought out everybody in the 80s. But if you can exchange talent and feature different talent on different shows, to me, that just helps the wrestling business. That makes people more money, gets people more exposure, and ultimately, it gets wrestling fans tuning in to multiple promotions. Now, I don't know the extent of the relationship between All Elite Wrestling, AEW, and Impact Wrestling. I'm not sure the details, but I can tell you right now, this is a smart move for AEW because Don Callis and Scott D'Amore are two of the greatest pro wrestling minds in the industry. And the fact that, people don't know that or don't realize that is a shame because in the last 2 years, actually in the last 2 to 3 years, Impact was floundering very bad. It's about 3 years ago. And within these last 2 to 3 years, Scott D'Amore, Don Callis, members of the Impact Wrestling, executive team and producers, they've really turned Impact Wrestling into a great wrestling project again. And you know what? They may not have like the big time superstars that an AEW has, even though, I think that the superstars they do have are some of the best out there. But they have made great use of everybody that they have. And so I think this is a good deal. I think it's a smart deal for both companies. I think Kenny Omega showing up on Impact Wrestling this coming Tuesday is going to be one of the biggest nights in the history of Impact Wrestling. I'm really curious to see if anybody steps up and confronts him. Again, there's so many guys on the Impact Wrestling roster I would love to see in AEW. Like I said, I mentioned Sammy Callahan, Ken Shamrock, the North, the Motor City Machine Guns, Gals and Anderson. I would love to see Rhino and Heath on there eventually. Rohit Raju, Deonna Purrazzo. I mean, heck, Deonna Purrazzo could be a great, great addition to helping the AEW women's division, along with, other Impact Wrestling knockouts like Jordan Grace and Kiera Hogan, Tennille Dashwood. So again, there's so many great talents in Impact Wrestling that would really help AEW shine and vice versa. Um, I loved when Cody showed up in Impact Wrestling for a while. I loved when Lance Archer was Lance Hoyt in AEW. Uh, and so I would love to see some of those guys in AEW that were in Impact before, kind of go back and, repay the favor um, from before AEW began. So, oh man, I'm excited. I will be the first to tell you that I've been very hard on Impact Wrestling. They've had a hard time winning me over because I do question some of their booking decisions and the direction they're headed. But I do believe that AEW and Impact Wrestling working together is going to be awesome. And it's going to breathe new life into both companies. And I can't wait. I really can't wait to see what happens with this. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear who you'd like to see from Impact wrestle on AEW and vice versa. Who would you like to see from AEW wrestle on Impact, and if there are any dream matchups out there that you would like to see happen. So on that note, I can quit rambling on about how excited I am and let you guys, give me your thoughts on this. I'd love to hear them. So with that being said, my name is Hollywood Joe from Hollywood's World of Sports. This has been another special edition of Hollywood's Hot Topics. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, Pinterest, Instagram. You name it, I'm probably on it. So with that being said, my name is Hollywood Joe. And remember, controversy doesn't come without criticism.